I think the Dutch is really doing something foul because they traveled all the way from Europe to East Asia, and they claim that they are exercising supervision on behalf of the United Nations. And the fact that their helicopter became aloft, very close to the largest metropolis in China, Shanghai, raised all the concern on the Chinese side. The Chinese Navy and the Air Force are fully justified to take action against such interference. And for the Dutch side to pretend to be the victim is really double standard. I think, fortunately, this didn't end up in real friction between the two sides. And the Dutch side really need to be warned that if they repeat such acts of infringement against Chinese law, then they will need to be held fully responsible about that. We know that in the recent months, there have been quite a few countries like Canada and elsewhere which have claimed that their airplanes or naval ships were being monitored. First of all these countries are not neighboring countries with China. They came from afar. Canada is on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. Netherlands is on the other side of the Eurasian continent. And why did they travel these lengths to East Asia? I think they acted under the direction of the United States, because the United States has all the indication that they want to strengthen the so-called first island chain, the second island chain, to try to suffocate China, to prevent the Chinese naval forces and the air forces, and otherwise to go beyond the first island chain and the second island chain into the Pacific. So I think the Netherlands this time, again, is acting in concert with the United States and acting on their behalf, try to raise the tensions in East Asia and try to really muddle the water rather than create stability in our part of the world. These countries are really worried that the Chinese planes or the naval ships are getting closer to them to monitor their movements and asking for their information. The best way is to stay far away from China rather than encroach upon China and to violate China's legitimate security interest. And if they really want to test the willpower of the Chinese nation as to how to defend China's sovereignty and legitimate territorial interests, then they need to be prepared for all the consequences. I think it is very important to take note of the fact that there are indeed important Western countries, especially members of the NATO alliance, now become more and more hostile against China. They keep talking about a confrontation with China because they say China's values are different from their value. Are you really serious? What kind of value are you talking about? Are you talking about value 100 years in your history, 200 years in your history? Are you talking about value in your darkest days of colonial power, enslaving people, selling people like slaves? Come on. So I think it is dangerous to see that certain countries want to follow the US leadership, for example, in instigating greater antagonism between China and the United States. Some even claim that war is destined between China and the United States. Countries like the Netherlands need to use their own brain to think about reality in the world of today, and they need to be a force standing for peace rather than being hijacked onto the bandwagon of war between and among major countries in the world of today.